Good evening, friends, students, faculty members, and industry professionals. Welcome back again to a very power-packed and exciting masterclass with the legend and industry veteran, Mr. Arun Iyer, founder, creative partner at Spring Marketing Capital, former chairman and chief creative officer at the Lintas Group. Mr. Arun, welcome to this webinar and a masterclass on creativity, blending it with brands, and how to really create that entire world of advertising, films, everything.
Thank
So
you.
to
Thank you,
give,
Samir.
yes, so
Thank you for
Mr.
having me.
Arun, this is a part of the masterclass series which we executed for last 6 days for the BMM students of University of Mumbai, the alumni from the media fraternity industry, lot of faculty members, professors joining into this program, senior decision makers in education joining in this program from entire country. A lot of business school faculty and MBA students also come in. We have been getting great responses from industry, media, entertainment professionals who attend this workshop. So they are going to be highly delighted to have you today and know your views. Friends, to introduce you, Mr. Arun Iyer has been the person behind the top of the line creative advertisements which we all have been enjoying for the last 2 decades. So if you remember Dag Achhe Hai campaign from the Tanish or the Byju's campaign which you see currently is all the brainchild of Mr. Arun. He spent more than 20 years or more in the world of creativity, advertising, branding, creating brands. So whether it's a huge company like Unilever for which there is help, it could be Tanish, Titan Group, Fast Track, Swiggy, Google, Uber, all are the concepts which India saw. Arun has been involved with that, and also equally he's been passionate to help startups on how really they can become brands. So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Arun. So, sir, the format Arun is going to be now. You can brief us for a while about what is this entire world of media, entertainment, film. How do you really generate ideas, and how? Because as consumers or as students and end consumers, we just see you see the 30-seconder on television, or it could be a film integration, or it could be a YouTube ad, but we don't know what happens behind that. So you can start with that, and we have been getting a lot of questions. We will some questions I will ask you, and then some will open up for our friends. Yeah,
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samir. And
my pleasure.
it's really lovely to talk to you. And a big hello to everybody on this call right now. And it's amazing that in the middle of this crisis, we can actually sit together and talk about some of what happens behind the scenes in the business of creativity, in the business of advertising and marketing. So I'm going to try and bring this alive for y'all as much as possible. But it'll really help if the more questions you ask, the more I will be able to answer these questions. But let me start by saying that, first of all, while on the face of it, it all seems like an extremely glamorous and we are sitting around and just thinking up of brands, it's actually a lot of hard work that goes into it. There is a lot of effort. So what happens is that when you decide to put a face out for the brand, you then first of all you try and understand saying what is the role of that category in the life of the consumer. So you try and understand saying, for example, if let's take the example of Swiggy, since Samir mentioned it. So let's say if Swiggy, at the point in time when we were doing Swiggy, ordering food home was not something that intuitively everybody did. It was okay in the urban environment, but a lot of India was not comfortable doing it. So you then try and figure out, how do you answer some of these questions? How do you become a brand that becomes a part of people's lives? So then once you try and answer those questions, you then get down to actually saying, okay, this is where the brand will be positioned. And once you arrive at the core proposition for the brand, is when you then start thinking, and then you have to take a little bit of, there is something called what we usually talk in the business, and we say that this is called the creative leap. So you then have to spend time figuring out, how do you entertainingly package the brand for it to be received and for it to land in the laps of consumers in a way that they actually make it a part of their life. And the best brands become a part of people's lives. They don't just come and tell you what it is that they're selling. They become part of culture. So today when we all very intuitively use the line "daag achhe hain," when we started the process at that point in time, it seemed completely counterintuitive, right? Because every detergent brand was coming and telling you that, hey, you can actually wash, you can actually just remove the stains. But what we tried to do was actually take a higher ground and say that, listen, you know what? Kids will get dirty. The biggest carrier of stains into a house are kids. And it's lovely. They should continue that, because that's where a lot of learning, that's where a lot of character building happens. So how do you then create something which then becomes a part of culture, which is where you then tap in and then you start thinking creatively. And once you have arrived at a concept, you then take that concept and then you test it with people. You then go and check with people saying, hey, does this make sense? Does this connect with you? Does this emotionally move you? And once that happens is when what we say is the next stage of the entire thing is called execution. Then you start identifying filmmakers, you start identifying photographers, you get them on board, you actually work with them, you talk about casting, you talk about, for example, like, back in the day when we did the Daag Achhe Hain campaign, India is a country where there is a lot of dirt, right? You don't want kids falling down and getting dirty in the not so hygienic parts. So for example, when we did Daag Achhe Hain, we actually went to Ooty and shot, where we said, even if a kid falls and gets dirty, it feels like it's not something that will make the kid fall ill. It's very, very important that these cues, these are not things that, these are not things that you will ever see. These are things that you feel when you see the communication. So we actually went to Ooty, we shot that stuff, and that's when you then you shoot the film, then you shoot the still photography, then you basically bring the world alive of the brand. And then there is the whole process of editing and music and dialogues, and there is the entire post production process. And then is when it actually goes out into the world, and what you see is, after a lot of thinking and a lot of effort, is when you see what you see about brands. And this process is something that you should enjoy, because over and over and over again, you have to find a way to surprise people. You have to find a way to make sure that, as when you're building a brand, it can connect with people, tell human stories, tell stories that people can latch on to. Like, for instance, when we did the Swiggy commercial of that whole gulab jamun and the old uncle, it's something that's happened to all of us. It's something that we've seen around us. So we try to tell stories which kind of become relatable. But the point that we were trying to make is that you can even order small stuff on Swiggy. So I think this is broadly the process. At every stage, you have to sit down and say, okay, how can we make sure that we take the creative leap, and how can we make sure that we execute in a way that it kind of becomes relatable. Today's day and age, the way you test it is, do you feel like sharing this stuff? That's a big criteria in today's day and age. It wasn't the case back in the day, but now with the proliferation of internet, that's become a very, very big thing.
Great, Arun. So the next question which comes to mind is, so how do you, as a creative boss, how do you spend your day? What is your day like, in a creative agency or in Spring Marketing Capital? What do you all exactly do when you come to office?
Yes, so that's a very, very valid question, because a lot of even my parents still ask me that question of what do I do when I get into work. And so I said, right, unlike what we believe, that we just sit around and there are these ideas that strike us. There is actually a lot of rigor. There is a lot of hard work that goes into it, because what you do is that you try. It's a little bit like what I say. It's like peeling the onion. So it's layer by layer you keep peeling, and then you try and understand what it is that the brand really requires. So, for example, if you take a brand when the brand doesn't have a face at all, right? So let me take the example of Byju, for instance. So when we started work with Byju, there was Byju as a product existed, but it didn't exist as a brand for the world. It's only people who knew the product were consuming the product, but it didn't exist as a word. So when I go into work, what we do is we first sit down and say, okay, here is a completely radical way of studying, right? Which is online education, which today seems very normal to us because of the whole COVID situation. But this I'm talking about June 2015, when it wasn't the case. When, and what happens is when we sit down to work, what we do is we try and understand what is the core of this offering. And when we realized, and when what we understood is that the core of the offering was to help kids fall in love with learning. This is the articulation we came up with, saying, come fall in love with learning, and that still continues till date. That's the purpose with which brand Byju exists. So everything around the brand is built around the purpose of come fall in love with learning. It's the only purpose for the brand is to fall in love with learning. So we first think of, we go through all the material, all the research. There is a lot of research work that happens. We go through all of that, and then we arrive at what we call the core proposition for the brand. And this is what we arrive at in a day, not in a day, over a period of time. And this is something that we think about. Then what we do is then we actually think about how does this now come to life? What are the faculties? For example, in the case of Byju, there are two faculties, right? There is the student, and then there is the parent. How do we? Because finally the student consumes the product, the parent pays for the product. So you have to make sure that you put it out in a way that it seems appealing to both of them, and they both see merit in it. So then you start thinking about, okay, how can you bring alive this world in a creative way? Then you start thinking of what are the assets that you can build around it. So what is the language that the brand will speak? For instance, I'll just give you an example again, since I spoke about Byju. A decision we made was we will never talk about marks and how well a student will do in exams. It was a decision, because when you're making somebody fall in love with learning, you're not thinking about the outcome of good performance in exams. You're only talking about how can I make you fall in love with learning, that you enjoy learning, that you want to learn here. That is the kind of decisions. These are some of the decisions you make. And these decisions are made on a daily basis. Samir. So there are decisions like that. Then there are decisions like at a later stage saying, how do you scale up further? Do you need to bring in a brand ambassador? That's when the whole conversation about Shah Rukh Khan happens. So then we said, okay, if Shah Rukh Khan comes in, and today Byju, there is a bunch of endorsements, right? So there is Shah Rukh Khan for the rest of the country. There is Mohanlal in Kerala. There is Mahesh Babu in Andhra Pradesh. There is Sudeep in Karnataka. So then you start working the worlds, because every part of India is a different world, right? So how do you bring that alive? Then you start thinking about what is the television asset? How do you think of scripts? Then you have to get down to actually writing scripts. And as easy as they think it is, the thing is that finally you have to package a whole bunch of information into 30 seconds and 40 seconds, right? It's a very challenging exercise, because you have to say so much, and you have to get attention of people, and you have to say it all in 30 seconds. How do you do that? How do you play between music and dialogues and shooting and all of that? Then once you script it down, then there is a process called storyboarding. So storyboard is actually frame by frame, what it is that you're going to shoot. Then you get into a shoot. Then you get into post-production. Then is when it finally goes on air. So this is what we do on a daily basis, where we think about brands and how can we bring alive a lot of this for brands, right?
Wow. So as you explained the entire process with the example of Byju's, so for simplification for our student friends, can you probably define what are the roles or what are the titles, so they also start thinking after they start studying, doing post-graduation or joining jobs in agencies like yours, what are those, departments or roles, or is it integrated work? But do they need some specific skills? And
I understood the question. So what will happen is that, first of all, there will be a ton of information that will come at you, because the company will hand over all the information it has, because the company has built out a product and there are people who are consuming the product. There will be feedback from people. So first of all, you need to know how to go through data, because this is all data, right? Because this is all data. So you have to know what to keep, what to let go. So that's a very, very big part, and a lot of very good strategic mind. So that's called the strategic department. The strategy department
Okay.
Actually, the strategy department actually sieves through a lot of this data, and they will say, okay, you know what, these are the 8 most important points we felt from all the data that we went through, which
Okay.
then comes to the creative folks as an input.
So just to interrupt you, so when we say data, it could be data about what is the product features, what is the consumer, which markets they're doing, all this data which comes in to
Yeah.
the
So
agency.
it will be what is the product, what is the
Okay.
perception of the product, who
Okay.
who are the users of the product. There will be
Okay.
data about lapses of the product, because there will be people who have tried it and have dropped off,
Okay.
and you will also get information on why they dropped off, because you
Okay.
also need, so like in anything you do in life, you need to know the positives and the negatives when you are building out a brand. So you need to
So true.
know, so you will get a whole bunch of data.
Okay.
If it's an online company, then that data will be basis a lot of the website traction. There will be a, because there
Okay.
is a lot of, when the companies are online, data is getting generated on a continuous basis, right?
So true.
So when there is, so for example, again, I'll use the Baiju example. When a student is consuming Baiju product,
Hmm.
they don't know who the student is, but they have visibility of which subjects are being touched more and which
Okay.
subjects are not being touched as much, right? Because they know that acha physics ka consumption, for example, Tamil Nadu में ज़्यादा हो रहा है. So they
Okay.
know that अच्छा ठीक है, यहाँ पे physics का consumption ज़्यादा हो रहा है. Then when you're thinking about it, you might make a decision saying, hey, whenever we are doing communication for the South, especially for Tamil Nadu, maybe we
Okay.
should factor in that science seems to be having more of a
Better.
traction. So
Wow.
how do you factor that in? So you have to factor all these data points, take out what is most important. So the strategy department, like I said, first sieves out a lot of, there will be a sea of information. They will pull out
Okay.
the most important pieces, that will come to you. Then
Okay.
from there, you then sit down and say, okay, then there is something called internal brainstorms that we do between departments. So in Spring, we have something called the portfolio management department, which is basically the people who manage all the relationships. So,
So
so
client
that
servicing, that is
client
what you call
servicing,
client service?
in a way, what was well known as client
Client
servicing
servicing.
in the agency world, they basically hold the relationships together. Then there is the
Okay.
strategy department, then there is the creative department. Within the creative department, there is design, there is copy, which is about the writing part of it. Then there is
Okay.
today, at least in Spring, we have something called the UI UX department within creative, which is
Yes.
basically there for a lot of companies. We have to design what it is and how their presence is impacted on the web as well, right? So we have
Yes.
something called the UI UX. Then we have something called the branded content department, which is
Okay.
basically once you have created the world for the brand, then how do you deliver this through content? Because we have the thing is, Samir, that we have become a world today where we don't want to consume only advertisements, right? Advertisements is one part, but there is a lot of content that needs to be created, which is shareable content, which is because we are all consuming the internet so much, and a lot of it is actually content, right? So how do you create branded content? Because there is content which is non-branded, then there is content which is branded. So there are all these departments, and then what you do is that's why I said, once you get the information, then you arrive at the core proposition. Like, for example, in the case of Byju's, it was come fall in love with learning. Then you tell the creative department how they come up with the creative solutions. Then the UI UX team works. Then the branded content team works. Then all these solutions are put on the table. Then you decide basis a calendar when what goes out. Then after this is when the whole media planning and media implementation department comes into play. So you actually plan media because every company has limited budget, right? So you have to decide how much do I spend on television? How much do I spend on online? Where do I spend on online? How much do I spend on newspaper advertisements? How much do I spend on radio? Given my audience, what are the kind of media that they're consuming? Then you decide, then you put out all that stuff. And that's when you try and achieve maximum reach for the communication that you've created.
So if these are the various departments, then what kind of skill sets or maybe qualifications are the employees bringing on table? Because a lot of our student friends know now they are going to go into the world either
Right.
post and study something. So what is that they should do? Looking at maybe create one is a creative part, then there is probably a strategy part which are normally managed by expert guys, who understand little numbers, data. UI UX itself is a field, but what are the kind of people what kind of people come into the creative field?
So I would say, see, there is up to a certain limit that you can do courses to get into this stuff. While there are specializations available, and especially given that this audience you said is a lot of BMM students, what BMM genuinely helps with, and like I had told you, I have taught BMM for a couple of years in my ex-college. What BMM generally prepares you for is for the general management of stuff. It gives you a glimpse into a little bit of all the aspects of the business. What you need to then do is that you need to figure out what it is that where does your interest lie more in. If it is general management, you can always choose general management and take a client servicing stroke portfolio management or whatever it's called in different companies. You can choose to play a role there. If you feel that, hey, no, you know what, I've got a strategic bent of mind, where I think also this word strategic is a slightly tricky word, Samir. It's because it's tricky to understand. What strategic means is that giving direction to the creative folks. That's what it very simply means. It very simply means that, hey, I can probably say that these are the 3 roads available for the brand, and let's see which one leads to a better creative output. And then there is, of course, the creative department where you either, in the creative department, there is specialization. Design is a specialization. You should ideally have studied design in the JJ schools or the Rachnas of the world. Ideally, you should have studied design. There are enough people who have made a career there without studying, but I would say that they are a minority. A large part of them are actually well trained in the subject of design itself, because it's an aesthetic course and there are basics of design which you've got to learn. Then there is the copywriting skill, which is a lot to do with language. So and language, it doesn't necessarily mean only English. Language skill can even be that you could be a specialist in Hindi. You could have language skills in Hindi, but overall a little flair for the language, flair for words is something that helps in the copywriting sphere of things. Then there is the technical aspect of things, which is the UI UXs of the world. I don't think that this course currently covers it for the students, but there are courses available online.
Yes,
like you would
Human Factor International is one great UI UX institute for students.
Yeah. So there are enough courses. UI UX is nothing but how to manage the user experience and user journey in the online world. That's all it is, because all of us, we don't realize it. But when we are going through a website, that is an experience that has been created for us. And the more intuitive that experience is, the more easy that navigation is, the more time we will spend there. Okay. And the more difficult it is, the easier we will drop out. So it is just a question of knowing a little bit of design. There is a little bit of science to it. So that is another technical aspect of it. You can choose any of this. And I think BMM students are well poised to choose any of these things, right? Because they get a glimpse of a lot of this. They can actually get into the work sphere, work with people and say that, you know what, let me try my hand at a few things when I come into a firm, and then say that, listen, you know what, after having spent time trying two, three of these things, I think instinctively I'm feeling my interest lies here. Let me double down on that. Let me detail that out a little bit for myself and see how I do. I think the other thing, Samir, is that, and I would genuinely recommend at least students who are listening to this, is that it's also, you need to be patient. It's not like you will start working and on third day you will, it's taken me 20 years to get where I have, and I still don't think I know it as well as I should. I still feel I'm learning, and it's very, very important to have the patience to give it the time, because not every time will be a success, because it's not an easy journey in the creative department, because what happens is that more often than not, it's a lot of this work involves a lot of anxiousness, because you don't know where the idea is going to come from. You don't know when it comes, whether it's going to click or no. It's like a movie maker, right, who sits on a Friday not knowing whether after 2 years of effort people are going to like it, or on Sunday it's going to get trashed and your future is over. So every time you put something out, It's a huge, like you have to, first of all, it takes about 6 months to arrive at that. Then it goes out into
Oh,
the world. Then there are more often than not, like today you are talking in my 20-year career, you're talking about, let's say, about 15 odd brands which have been very, very successful. But those are the successful brands. There are another 15 or 20 which have not been as successful as this. And those are my failures, right? And you learn from those failures, you try and implement, and you try and pull yourself up. So I would say patience is another very key factor in this business.
so am I right to say, Arun, ki, other than the qualification part, there are some skills also a person needs, like working in teams, which we hardly do, and students might be doing group projects, but see, so this is could be probably a prominent skill, working in teams, little understanding of multi languages, working with global teams,
Very,
also
very, very good point,
important.
Samir. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's a super critical factor because uh, nobody can actually do this alone. And when I
Okay.
say nobody, I mean absolutely nobody. So
Okay.
it always, because you always take off from where somebody left, right? You will
Wow.
say a thing, and when you're sitting in a brainstorm, you will say a thing, and I will interpret it in a certain way, and then there'll be a third person who will interpret it in another way, and you build from there. And you have to come at it from saying, hey, we've done this together as a team. Otherwise, and because see, as a creative person, and then like today, I when I was at Lintas, I used to lead a creative team of more than 200 people. Now these are about 250 people working across 150 brands. Now, obviously, I couldn't have managed all these brands by myself, but I worked with teams, large teams, and made sure that I empower them. I made sure that you kind of talk to them, add value to what they're doing. But finally, the thing is, you've got to step away and say, hey, this entire thing actually is being done by the team. And I think that, like, one of the things that culturally I built at Lintas was, I said, we will never take individual credit for anything. It will always be Team Tanish, Team Swiggy, Team Google,
Wow.
Team Unilever. We will always be the team, because you never know, even a small statement by somebody would have made a huge difference in the final output. And that's
Wow.
very, very critical for us to know. Because, and one of the things, Samir, is important to know is that never hold back because you're going to sound silly in a brainstorm. In a
Wow.
brainstorm, even the most wise people sound silly. Say all the
Correct.
stupid things you want, doesn't matter. Because if you have a good creative leader, the good creative leader, he or she will know what to take and what not to take. You just need
Yes.
to, because it's a process, you need to keep churning your brain. You need to understand that world and say, hey, you know what, we can try something like this, we can try something like this. Just keep throwing out ideas. Don't worry, don't you in the creative field, you have to lose the fear of judgment. Don't worry about judgment.
Yes. So in fact, in our MBA programs or integrated media entertainment programs, there is one skill which we teach students, dealing with difficult people and working with opposing minds. I think it holds so true in the media business,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, how to deal really with opposing minds. Because ultimately what is visible is the 30-second or a one-page ad. But
Correct.
before that, there are different stakeholders,
So
including the client.
yeah. So, one of the biggest things is that I think earlier in the day, back in the day, in the business of creativity, the creative people created, and then the client servicing people went and sold.
Okay.
That has changed. That has
It's
completely
all
changed.
together
So
now.
it's all the
Integrated.
same. Now, a good creative person must have the ability to sell. If
Wow.
you cannot convince your client, how are you going to convince millions of people out there that what you're doing makes sense? You
Oh,
have to have the power of selling. If I cannot convince you that, hey, listen, this is my concept, this is what I feel super conviction in, because finally, Samir, all the science aside, finally there is a leap of faith that brands take on the back of what creative people feel. It's,
yes.
I have this secret which I'm going to let out on this call. As a,
Yeah.
in the creative profession, you actually, you get to express all your inner thoughts and it's sponsored by somebody else.
Yeah. So true, and that brings equal responsibility, you know.
It's a responsibility.
Big
It's a
responsibility.
responsibility because somebody is trusting your instinct,
So true.
and you have to calibrate your instinct. You have to make sure. Hey, Samir, I'm just going to take one question if you're okay. There's a
Yeah, yeah,
lady
please.
who's asked in the chat saying any I think Neha Seth or somebody, any tips
Yes.
for script writing? I can always write a concept but don't know how to spin it into a script. So I'm just actually going to talk about that
Yeah,
because I think
sure.
it's a very valid question. So I think script writing is a serious skill. Like I said, everybody has a concept. The most important part of writing a script is actually to first time your script, because everybody can write long dialogues. You've got
Yes.
to now nail it between 30 seconds and 40 seconds. So what you
Yes.
need to do is that it's the classic saying of the lesser you can write, the more effective it will be. You have to
Yes.
imagine the film exactly how it will play out. So you have to say, you know what, film opens on let's say Samir sitting at his desk talking to Arun, and you can take leap of faith. It doesn't have to be linear writing. From there, you can actually straight cut to saying Samir picks up a Coke and has a sip from his Coca-Cola. It doesn't
Correct.
have to be
Correct.
linear, as long as, because there are tricks in filmmaking where which I wish I could elaborate a little bit more on, where in editing you have something called
Sure,
jump
sure,
cuts.
sure, please.
So when you do jump cuts, it's the eye is trained for that, because you have seen movies where I can jump from this scene to a completely different scene to a completely different scene, and you can actually use that. So you can pack in a lot of stuff into 30 seconds and still not make it feel like it is rushed. The mistake a lot of people do in writing a script is that they write long dialogues. Actually, you need to write enough. So if, for example, if you're writing a 30-second script, ideally the dialogue should not be longer than 20 seconds, because you also need to factor in that there between characters there will be pauses. So if I'm talking to you, I will pause, you will have a reaction, then you will respond. So those are all things that you need to factor into.
So very clearly, it is about time management. It's about management. It's about integration of lot of things which one person goes through during the entire journey. Looks like, you know.
Also, I think, Samir, there's one more point I want to talk about, and I think that a lot of people, I know, and I've met BMM students when they get into the field of let's say creative, and I'm just emphasizing on creative a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah, please.
because I think I'm getting a lot of questions from the creative
On
field. Is
filmmaking
that
creative.
I think what happens is that writing is a skill that you hone over a period of time. Again, like I said, you have to keep writing. You have to keep writing, keep expressing yourself. Write a blog, write headlines, just keep writing. It will not be like on day one your writing will be that you will
Visible.
be in the Salman Rushdie league, right? If Salman Rushdie didn't become Salman Rushdie on day one. He kept writing. You have to be okay to write first not so good, then mediocre,
Oh,
then as you hone it, as you get a handle on words, and it could be in any language. Like I said, if you're proficient in Marathi, write in Marathi. If you're proficient in Hindi, write in Hindi. Whatever language you're proficient with, but just practice the art of writing. It is something that just keeps getting better, and you will get more and more confident about it.
just two questions I will ask from what I have written here, then we will
Sure.
open up for them.
Sure.
So, one thing is, you know, in this new age world of digital disruption, technology innovation, OTT platforms, you know, short films, YouTube films, and Insta, how is this entire role of creativity merged with management? What is going to happen, and where do these youngsters see a chance? You know, the way
See,
things have all got
I
integrated.
personally believe that it's a golden era in that way, because the world has completely opened up, right? The world has opened up. There is look at and I think the truth is that look at the amount of content that's being generated on a daily basis, right? We've all been in lockdown. We've all been bound at home, and look at the amount of content that's getting consumed across platforms, be it YouTube, be it Netflix, be it Amazon Prime, be it MX Player, be it, there's just so much content that's getting generated and then being consumed. So I think that I would sum it up as the most important thing, Samir, is that you need to first of all be a storyteller. I think that's the most important thing. I think you need to be a storyteller, and then you need to figure out the issue is that long form content, whether it's the Netflix or the Amazon of the world, that content takes a lot of time, because you've got to write episode after episode after episode, and then it takes a lot of time for it to get made as well. So I would suggest that, and I would recommend that actually advertising is a great place for a lot of people to hone their skills, to get the basics in place, right? So if you take some of the biggest names in the feature film industry, in the content world, are all people who started in advertising. So my dear friend Nitesh Tiwari, who's done Dangal, and who's directed all these mega films. He's directed Dangal, and then that Sushant film about IIT guys recently. And he worked at Lintas with me, and we were batchmates at Lintas, and actually advertising becomes a great platform for people to hone their skill and then figure out there is a whole wide vast world available there. But that world, like for example, there are so many people who are content creators on YouTube who are in their 20s, who have massive following on YouTube today. They're all creating content of their own. So there is content that's very refined, that's expensive and that's made. Then there is the homemade kind of content. There is content which is very, very, very rough, very crude, home. They are I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Bhuvan Bams of the world, where they create content at home and they generate a lot of content and they put it up on YouTube. The only difference is that not all of it is monetizable. It's a little bit of a luck game as well, where some things click and you don't really know what it is that clicks. But if you passionately from your heart put out something, generally works.
So true. So one more question, which is there. So, many students will either take up jobs after their BMM and graduation. Many students will like to start on their own. Many will study in the future, So our view always as educationists is key. Yes, you would be a great creative person, copywriter, filmmaker. But if you have a management aspect and do a postgraduate program which covers, copywriting to business development to media to sports entertainment, integrated would help. That a lot of questions which we are getting are what course to do. So I thought we would like to use your time more on actually the world, and not the course. So any postgraduate courses from any of the good institutes are going to help you. But there is one question, Arun, which is very evident. If they want to start on their own and become entrepreneurs, or a startup into this kind of field, so how do they go with the journey? Do they get to work? Because I may be good in photography, for many years, and I feel I am good in photography, and I think I'm a good blogger. So in this entire industry, how do this kind of young entrepreneurs move?
See, I would just say that there are two sides to this, Samir. See, entrepreneurship is the world has made it look very the world has made it look very exciting, very very sexy, if I may use that word. but there is another side to it. There is a lot of challenges there as well. It's not a bed of roses. There are lots of challenges, because it's not like work comes at you all the time. And I would say that, I wouldn't recommend that unless you're absolutely sure that this is what I want to do in the long term. It's great to get into entrepreneurship, but I would say first test your waters. I think there is a life ahead. I think too much is made about some of these entrepreneurs who have started out in their 20s. But if you notice, they're a handful. It's for every 20-year-old entrepreneur, there are at least thousands who have not made it. And I don't mean to discourage anybody. I just feel it's nicer to test waters, and rather than just go with the flow because it's cool to do that. I would say test your waters. Just see, you have the advantage of time on your side. You have time and age on your side. Test it out. See how it works out. even if you want to work on your own, work on your own for 6 months, test waters, see how it feels. Does the challenge excite you? Do you think because there is a difference between entrepreneurship and freelancing. They're two completely different things.
So yeah,
right?
that's the question is actually combined. Actually my question is combined. Freelancing also is the question which we are getting.
See,
Yeah.
freelancing is different from entrepreneurship. Freelancing is saying that in my time, I want to give my profession an X amount of time, and I would prefer to do it at my time and in my place, rather than having to go and check into a job on a daily basis. That's a
Yes.
call you can take. But the general management jobs are not available for a freelance basis. Some of the
Okay.
creative jobs are available. Like you cannot say,
Yes.
I will manage a business for a company and I will do that on a freelance basis. That's not available.
No.
Some strategic projects are available, but that also after a certain amount of experience. Without experience, these are not available.
Why will they take?
Yeah, what is available and what happens invariably, Samir, is that what's available is, like, for example, managing social media content for a company, where you can maybe create some content sitting from home, writing stuff for, let's say, social media handles of a certain company. Those are available, but I don't know if they are long-term careers. They can be stepping stones, but I don't know if that's something that you can turn into a really long-term career. I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Also, Arun, there is question on from the people who are already in the industry. Some are all actually client servicing people. I can see some are creative folks also.
Right.
But the question is, with the kind of the environment which it is, they were conventional in nature. So now, because the clients have become demanding, so what is the kind of, maybe do they go on online learning, or what do they learn and keep, typically what do creative guys need to keep learning, to become and stay relevant?
So I think if you notice what's happening, Samir, in the world today, and I think for a creative person to be relevant, first of all, you need to, I think the biggest factor to stay relevant is to keep your curiosity alive. You need to be curious about what's going on in the world, what is the latest, what's going on in terms of music, keeping yourself abreast in the world with music, with trends, with fashion, with just reading up enough about the world is a very, very critical factor. That's one.
Okay.
That's absolutely basic. What is also important is that I think a lot of people, because they live their life intuitively on digital, doesn't mean you know how to create communication there as well. You also need to know you need to keep yourself abreast about what's going on in the world of technology. Where is this world going in terms of technology? Given, for example, today, everybody knows that on the other side of this complete crisis of COVID, the world is going to be more digital than anybody can ever imagine. How do you make sure that you are relevant, you are ready to deliver solutions for brands in that world? What are the kind of relationships that brands need to have with customers in this world? Right today, people are possibly going to experience many brands only online. How do you make sure that you have a relationship with that brand? How do you create those relationships which is purely online? What do you do? And it's changing at such a rapid pace that even if you're young, you've got to keep yourself abreast about what's going on. How do I stay relevant? How do I make sure that what I know today is not outdated? It gets outdated in about 6 months from now, right? How do I stay relevant? How do I absolutely stay on top of things is something that every person has to keep working on.
So it's also online learning plays a big role in this,
I think online learning is a terrific. I personally, in this break, as we speak, there are about 3 courses that I have signed up for.
Wow.
Because I feel it's super critical. And what's also happened is that in this period, courses are also becoming accessible. And the world has opened up for us, right? Like, and Samir, you know this, like the best of universities in the world are opening up their doors to us. Like I am doing a course from the California School of Arts, which I'm going through in this period because I'm working from home and I have some spare time. I'm actually taking that course and I'm running through that course from California School of Arts, which I do in the night every day.
Okay. Yeah, at Harvard Business School, we have opened up our Harvard Business School online programs now.
I can imagine, and I'm sure you're seeing a lot of traction, and that's
Yes, people
today
love to.
we have to make the most of the fact that when we grew up, these were colleges we could only dream about going. We could never access them, right?
Now they're on your screens.
Yeah.
So, friends, we are now going to open up for question answers. You can raise your hand. There is the raise hand button down, and you can raise your hands, and I will take your live. Yeah. So first, I will take Archit Momaya. So Arun, now thing is going to be that I'm going to take them live from you. They will ask us a live question.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So first is Archit.
Will I see the question, or you will tell me the question?
No, the person only will ask the question.
Perfect.
They will only live. They will ask us.
Perfect.
So just others also be ready. First, I am going to take Archit Momaya. Then I am seeing Bipin Pandit. Then I am seeing Girish and Girish. Okay, so 3 I have at least be ready. And 4th is Neil Banerjee. Okay, so Archit. Where is Archit now? Yeah. Archit, go ahead, please.
Hello,
Yeah,
sir.
Archit.
Listen me?
Yes, Archit,
Yes,
I
we
can
can.
hear you.
Sir, actually, I am a TY student as well as I am a professional photographer. I am running a company named by AVM Click Station. So actually, I want to be on next level in photography because now I have a not only middle class clients and everything. Now I want to be my level up. So guide me for that. So how what the steps should I do for these things?
So Archit, there are and it's amazing that that you've identified your passion so early on. That's fantastic, and congratulations on that.
Thank you,
What I
sir.
would suggest is that there are a bunch of so what happens is that in photography there are a bunch of courses available. For example, I'll just give you an example of one course, which is a course which is run by this very, very famous camera DOP, that's a director of photography called Rajiv Menon. He's the guy who shot Bombay for Mani Ratnam. He's like, he's one of the best cameramen in the country. He runs a photography course in Chennai where he just trains people's eyes for how to just capture images in a slightly better way. For instance, I'm saying that is in Chennai, and I'm sure there are things available in Bombay as well. And then now, like Samir mentioned, there are enough courses online. I would just say that if the position that you are in, you're actually quite lucky because you've already identified your passion. You just need to make sure that how do you upskill yourself, right? How do you get better and better and better at that? And I would suggest subscribe to a lot of photography magazines. Try and do at least one professional course ideally with a cameraman. And why I'm recommending a cameraman for you is because they tend to not restrict it to still photography. Tomorrow you could also graduate to actually looking at shooting films, and which is something that you can get ready for. So once you have a keen eye on photography, that becomes a good stepping stone to actually become a cameraman. So these are some of the recommendations that I would have for you.
Actually, sir, I already done the photography course from IFTA, Indian Film Institute. So actually, I've done the course, and I also done a course from LS Raheja, and I assisted many photographers who are well known in photography industries because I am actually from a wedding photography industry.
Sure.
So sir, actually, I'm asking that now I am now restricted to only wedding photography, and now I have a normal client base. So I want to extend my client base to, we can say, page 3 clients. So what should I do for that things?
No, you should just make a portfolio for yourself where you capture some of the brand work. I would suggest that create a portfolio for yourself, which is outside of the wedding photography place. Wedding photography is also great, but if you want to step up and you want to go further ahead from there, ideally, if you can, like for instance, since you already done a course, why can't you take a couple of subjects and shoot something which becomes like a little portfolio, which gives people a glimpse into what you can do outside of the wedding photography space. And once you have created that portfolio, you can actually show it around to people and actually generate work out of that. Work generates work. That's the best tip I can give you.
So true, so true. Okay, next one is Bipin. Bipin. Hello, Bipin. Unmute your microphone, please. Your mic, please. Bipin, unmute your mic, please. No problem. We'll move.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Arun. Hi. Bipin Pandit from Art Club.
Yes, sir. How are you?
How are you, sir?
So nice to see you here.
Firstly, though, I would like to compliment Samir Karkanis for doing a fabulous job. I think
Thank you.
in these days of troubled times, this enrichment is most welcome.
He's always a bubble of positivity, which is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. And
Nice to have you, Bipin. I didn't know it was Bipin Pandit, the Bipin Pandit from Ad Club. Good. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, Bipin.
yeah, and Arun, fabulous. I think this would be great insights for all the students who are there on the call. Arun, two things I want to ask. I have been on stage and I'm doing music, as you know, for a long time now. And I feel that if you have some innate talent in this particular field of advertising media marketing, it does help to come out with better creativity. And as you cited the example of Nitish Tiwari, there are so many, Balki, there is Piyush Pandey, there is Prasoon Joshi, and there are so many, Amit is there, and there are so many people who have done that actually and proved it.
Yeah.
So what is your take on this relativity of creativeness and music or any talent that you have? And secondly, which is the best brand that you have worked on, the brand that has given you most satisfaction?
So, I think to answer your first question, Bipin, I think the thing about the whole creative thing is that you are always trying to get another skill set going, right? So if you have music, then you are saying, okay, what else can I do? But honing and making sure that your skill always sees light of day is a completely, it becomes a need for a creative person, right? More than a professional journey. Expressing yourself like how you do it through your music. I do it through my through brands. Somebody else does it through movies. But at the core of it, if you notice, is the innate need for a creative person to express himself or herself.
Correct.
And I think finally, these are all ways in which we find to actually express what is there. There is a lot inside all of us, right? We just find an avenue to express it. And I think whether it is music, and which is why I'm always fascinated by, if you notice, if you see a good creative person will always be very, very keen listener of music, will be a keen reader of books, will be a keen watcher of movies, will be because they want to surround themselves with other people who are expressing themselves.
Correct.
And then that is something that I hold very dear as a creative person, because that gives us all joy, right? Finally.
Correct.
And coming to your second question, Bipin, I think there are in my journey there have been so many brands that picking out one is so tough. It's very, very tough. But the one brand which kind of defined my career, and where I joined Lintas only to work on Surf Excel. It was my only dream. My dream was to actually I had gotten into a couple of places, but I took the Lintas job because I remember I wanted to join Lintas only because I wanted to work on Surf Excel, because that brand meant a lot to my mother. So this was a very personal journey, right? So
great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Lovely. Stay safe. See you on the other side of this.
Great. So friends, Bipin also leads the Ad Club Bombay, which is an association of advertising agencies, media agencies. As students and as institutes, you should probably look at the kind of work they do, Goa Fest.
Bipin is a legend in himself.
So a lot of stuff they do. They do lots of students memberships and all. Do have a look. Yeah, the next question, Arun, I am taking is from Rajeshri Singh. Yeah, sure. Rajeshri, go ahead, please. Rajeshri, unmute your mic. Friends, whenever I am allowing you to speak, you have to unmute your mic. Yeah. So Rajeshri, you can unmute.
Unmute is to the bottom left.
Yeah. Yeah, you're on, Rajeshri.
Okay, I think there's been a mix-up, but I do have a question. So my name is not Rajeshri. My name is Natasha, and Rajeshri is a friend of mine. So I think I mixed up the accounts. Okay, so I'm a final year student from BMM, and I'm thinking of working.
Right.
after I finish my degree. Would you have any suggestions on where can I find a job or how to find a job or something like that? Because
What,
I'm very confused.
what kind of job are you looking for, Natasha? If I may ask?
I'm looking for like I want to get into branding eventually, so I want something that can help me with that.
What have you specialized in anything, or you've just
I'm a
you're
BMM student, advertising.
advertising? Okay.
Yes.
So what I would see, there are a couple of avenues for you if you're looking at eventually that you want to be associated with brands. So obviously there are the advertising agencies.
Yes.
Then there are the so within advertising agencies there are very established advertising agencies. There are agencies that have been set up over recently. That you can choose the spectrum there about where you want to. What is the kind of firm that kind of excites you. So that is one avenue. Then of course there are a bunch of companies which are all which what in the advertising and media world we call the client side of the business, which is that where they are the owners of the brand. So you can also explore that if they are generally that side of the business. You tends to veer towards MBAs more than graduates. But there are exceptions there as well. Then there are a bunch of startups where and a lot of these startups are trying to become brands, where they also hire people in the branding and marketing side of things. That's another avenue that you can explore. All said and done, I think you should do a little bit of research. What exactly you want to do there in terms of, is it a general management role? Is it a specialization role? I wouldn't know. I couldn't make out from the conversation you had with me. But you should be, maybe you should go through the websites of a couple of companies, see, understand how they are structured, what kind of interests you, and then take it from there is how I would recommend.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Arun, I'm taking I had received a mail this afternoon from South Africa. Okay, it's a very big print and printing business and a media advertising business group, the Harry Printers in South Africa. And they are into advertising, and they are for generations. That's what the information they shared. So there are 12 managers from Harry Printers who are going through the entire discussion what we both are having now, and they were very happy when they got the communication on social media. So one, welcome Harry Printers team, and a big hi from India. I see Nilesh Harry, the owner of that, asking a question, so I'm allowing him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Mr.
Hi, Samir and Arun. This is actually Pam. I'm the daughter of Fridge Harry, who is the owner of Harry's Printers.
Okay.
So nice talking to you.
For having us and for allowing us to be a part of this. As Samir mentioned, Arun, we run a print company, but we also have an advertising agency and various other print and communication services. Arun, you mentioned that with the future, that online would definitely be something that's going to grow, and the whole model of doing business would be a lot more online. Just in your opinion, do you find, I mean, when you look at Amazon and other big companies that are using the hybrid model of online with brick and mortar store offering, what do you think the future is of? Do you think it's going to be more online or more with the customer experience? How is that hybrid, or is it going to be, what is the future? What do you think will happen?
Yeah, so I personally think, and in my opinion, I think it is definitely going to be a hybrid, because I think the touch and feel of this world can never go away, right? And given that you are in the printing business, in the print business, there is finally a feel to things, right? Which you always, which as human beings we will always cherish. I think a lot of it, I do think that a lot of interaction with brands will happen online, but finally I think there is a touch and feel that people will experience, right? Because you cannot take that away. I think as human beings, as much as so there are two factors to that. It's not just online versus offline. It's also the fact that we are finally we are also social beings, right? We and today that's gotten ruptured because of this whole COVID environment. But finally we do want to touch, feel, and experience a lot of things. So I definitely think it will be a hybrid with a larger skew online, I feel.
Okay.
And also
Thank you.
I think that this reality will differ for different countries, right? Because
Yeah.
I think there are different countries at different stages of evolution of the online world itself. So a country like, let's say, India, South Africa are on their journey, right? These are countries that on their journey of digitally getting there. There are advanced countries which have moved a lot online, but still the offline world still remains very, very intact there as well. So I think it will evolve differently in different countries, because a lot of, like, for example, and I can talk with a little more authority on India, is that there are many Indias within India, right? So there is an urban India, there is a, and and within there is urban, there is the first tier of India, then there is a second tier of India. And strangely enough, the online boom happens to be is seeing more of a boom in the tier 2 and the tier 3 of India, is because they don't have access to brands there. And online is the reason why they're getting access to some of these brands, versus in some of the cities the bigger brands are accessible in the stores, so that it's not seeing as much traction. So I think it plays out differently in different parts of the world. But the long and short of it, I think it will be a hybrid with a little more of a leaning on online.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very relevant questions, because we have a lot of people who are actually, practitioners and agency owners who are listening to us. So, they also need to refigure their entire strategy, what to do next.
Yeah,
if
it is.
If you are print heavy, then it's a challenge.
It is, and it is, but how do you make that a specialization is also an opportunity. It's an opportunity as well.
So true. Next I will take is Sanket Ghosh. A few more questions, Arun. You're comfortable?
I'm fine.
Yeah, sure. So Sanket, I'm taking you live. Huh? Please go ahead, Sanket.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, please.
Hello, Arun sir. Hello, Samir. So I have worked as a music video director. So we work with lots of indie artists. So as a company, we took a decision to come into ad films and to start making smaller brands and make the ad films for Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
So the main challenge that I'm facing is, how do I charge the client? Because I don't have much of portfolio, and how do I justify the amount that I'm quoting?
So when you say you are making ad films specifically for YouTube and Facebook, you mean some of those 6-seconder videos and stuff?
30-second videos, 1-minute videos, something like that. A brand video for the brand.
Okay, but
with some stories.
These are more product videos and that kind
product
of
videos. Yeah. So it may be a pen, it may be a tortillas kind of thing. So things like that.
Right. So what is your question again, Sanket?
How do I justify the quotations and charge? Because I don't have much of profile of making such videos, but the brands are taking the leap of faith of having my experience of making music videos for indie pop artists and all.
Right. No, got it. So see, I think, Sanket, the truth of the matter is that what you have gotten into, which is the YouTube and Facebook videos for a lot of these brands,
right?
It is a high volume, less margin business.
True.
Yeah. So you will have to calibrate for yourself, saying how do I deliver the high volume at a certain quality? Because even within that, because if you can up the game on quality, you can then say, because it's also a crowded market there, right?
True.
If you up the game on quality, even if you push the limits a little bit, which initially might hit your margins a little bit, but if you swallow the initial discomfort and say, okay, if you make a decision saying, I make ads for YouTube and Facebook, but how can I turn that into my specialization? And how can I become one of the best in that business? Then you actually look at the first initial few projects as investments, try and see how can you up the quality. Then you, like I said, right, in this business, good work generates more work. So if you were to up the quality a little bit, take a hit on the margin and say, hey, you know what, I do this for a living. but you know what? I'm actually amongst the best in this, and I can do this well for you. Like how you become good at, and I don't know your portfolio. I'm assuming that you're good at the music video business. You slowly turn that into your specialization, and then once you become a specialist at that, you can actually charge a premium because you're going to bring value. So I think that's the journey that I would recommend for you.
True. Thank you.
I'm so happy, Arun, that with the creative inputs, you are giving them also business development inputs, you know, so it very clearly shows you have to merge creativity with commerce. That's the future. You cannot just be creative or just be an MBA media. It has to be both together.
Yeah.
Great. One second. I will now go down. I'm just trying to take names which are there for a long time, you know, on the hands up. That way I'm.
No worries.
So Anjali, I can see. Anjali is there. Then there is...
I have another 5 minutes or so.
Okay. So Anjali, I can take Anshuman Srivastava also after that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Anjali, if you're, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Anjali Vatkar.
Hi, Anjali.
Yes, please.
From Mumbai. I'm CEO of Ellora Art Gallery. We basically promote artworks done by fine artists.
Okay.
Okay. We have around 70 to 80 artists with me. And Ellora Art Gallery is an online platform to showcase their works. And we have qualified artists to display their works. And we want to...
Question, Anjali.
Yeah, we are, I'm not very good at, you know, kind of digital marketing.
Right.
Or, you know, skill sets for online marketing. I need to know how to, you know, how to acquire certain skills to reach to the global level platforms or global level clientele.
Yeah, understood, Anjali. I understood your question. See, I think, Anjali, you are in a very specialized field, right?
Yes.
Because you are curating art, and I'm assuming that these are artists from rural India.
All over India. In
All over
Mumbai
India.
also. Yeah.
All over India. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm saying, if you're curating works of artists from all over India, ideally what you should do, and the first step, and I'm assuming you have it, is that you need a good website where your presence is felt, right?
Yes, I have good website.
I'm sure. That's why I said it's the basics of what you should do. But
Yes.
from a digital marketing point of view, I think that there is a very niche audience that is into buying art.
Yes.
What I would call them is actually communities of people.
Yes.
They will be, these are communities that you will have to break into. So you will have to set up forums. You will have to, and these are online forums, I mean, like how Samir has set this up. You will have to, like, for example, you set up interactions with the artist, talking about some of the inspiration behind the art, you know, is a possibility. You have to find a way to engage with these communities who are anyways online looking for this stuff, right? Because it's a small community. You don't need to do much more than that. You need to find a way, and you need to generate, and you need to develop something called performance marketing, which will find the right audience and push your Ellora into the right forums. I think that's something that you need to focus on. And Google and Facebook and these companies are trying to help out firms like yourself, where they try and reach these audiences. It's a slightly expensive proposition, but it's worth investing in if you want to kind of go about it, is how I would recommend.
Sure. I got it.
Yeah.
Would like to connect with you afterwards.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
So it becomes very visible, friends, ki you may be very good in creative things. You can be an student of creativity or an employee, owner. But the issue, one sec, I need to disable something. Yeah. I think, please, can somebody switch off the...
Ankit Ghosh, I think his...
Ankit Ghosh is there. Okay, Ankit, just hold on.
So Ankit Ghosh's audio is on, I think.
Okay. Sanket, you are ready with your question?
Oh, we've done with him, Samir.
Oh, we've done with Sanket. Okay.
I have asked it, sir.
Okay, I think I'll have to switch it up from here. But becomes very, very evident from here, that you may be very good and creative, but very clearly what Arun has been saying, you need managerial skills, you need marketing skills, digital skills. This is the time, friends, you should learn, upgrade your skills, because you may have a good product, good creativity, but you need the business part of it. One last question, Arun, we'll take, and then we'll. Yeah. So, 1 second. Tanya Deol, we can take Tanya. Tanya, you can speak.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Good evening. I have one very precise question. It's regarding foreign language and application of foreign language in the field of branding and communication. So I just wanted to ask, what is the scope for transcreation or transcription from foreign languages in branding and communications or in media agencies and internal communication? What are the jobs or job positions or the requirements of skill sets apart from foreign language, learning a foreign language?
I didn't get that, Tanya. Your voice is cracking a little bit. I didn't
Just
understand.
hold your mic little far from your mouth, please.
Yeah, sure. I will just repeat. What is the scope for transcreation or transcription from foreign languages in branding and communications? What are the jobs or job positions and required skill set for transcreation of a content apart from learning a foreign language?
So, Tanya, that wouldn't fall under the branding and marketing of things. There are a lot of companies which have to do a lot of the transcreation work from foreign languages to Indian languages. Indian brands don't need to do that. That there is very little work that happens there, actually negligible work, because Indian brands are, it's more within the gamut of Indian languages. But there are a lot of companies in the IT sector, for example, where a lot of there are a lot of even in the pharma industry, there are a lot of places where stuff from foreign languages needs to be turned into either English or into Indian languages, but that doesn't fall under the branding and marketing of things.
Okay. Great. So friends, thank you very much. We come to an end to a 1 week long action pack masterclass with the best of the minds like Arun Iyer and others who have helped and guided students and faculty members to what actually is this world of media and entertainment, what is the world of creativity, and how creativity parts merge with the entire business and management part. Thank you, Arun, for all these fantastic insights. And again, I must tell you, people came with the expectation of knowing about creativity, but they go back with creativity and ideas to grow their businesses also. So thank you very much. Friends, thank you very much. This was a part of the Yangpo Executive Education and Department, the Board of Studies of Mass Media, University of Mumbai joint initiative on new age media careers. My special thanks from all of us, from the Yangpo team and from the student community and our panelists, to Dr. Sundar, Rajdeep Sundar, for giving us this opportunity to hold this kind of a very interactive session. Thank you very much. We have been getting a lot of, last one thing, we have been getting a lot of requests from students about careers in sports management and sports marketing. So we are trying to put together something, and we will communicate to in the coming week when we can hold that session. People have been asking esports, e-exhibitions, digital in sports. So we will put something together. Those who are interested can join in for that. Similarly, we will do something for online education also in the days to come. So friends, thank you very much. Keep in touch with us on Yangpo. Arun, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you so much. And it was fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, everybody. Good luck.